Good evening. Yeah, my name's Sujin Park. I'll actually kind of move aside because I need to look at the screen. Um, First of all, I will be representing four different ministry departments and six different persons, and they only gave me 15 minutes. So, yeah, so that's very fair, and thank you. um, and then possibly, no, I'm just kidding. Possibly, I'll be also representing collectively the future and potential ACT Korea. And I just bring their greetings as well because they were really sad and sorry they couldn't make it this time. They really wanted to. Actually, they told me they were all coming. So, but I'm the only Korean representing our nation and our ministries, and they really sincerely asked me to bring their greetings. And so I'll just go right into our PowerPoint without. I'll try my best not to add any more testimonies or any personal stories. So that's yes, that's me. I run a ministry named Singing Diary Ministry that started around my teenage, going into my college and 20s. It's a ministry that Lord has established, telling me to help and assist the church and the world to be restored and built up as true worshipers in and through service, life, and relationships. And I have some vision and goals, and of which the first of which is art and culture. I have heart for artists, and although I'm still young in my 30s, I have I guess I can say I have pastoral heart for younger artists and musicians. They don't necessarily need to call me their pastor or mentor, but I'd love to be a friend and a mentor and possibly a pastor to the artists, Christian and non-Christians. I hope to raise up kingdom artists by helping artists discover true identity and calling. And I have been connecting and collaborating with musicians and artists to proclaim the beauty and excellence of God. And I try to care for the younger artists by mentoring and being friend with them. And second is mission and outreach. I've been working with a lot of missionaries worldwide, and I try to support and participate in the global and local mission and evangelism by working with missionaries, mission organizations, local churches, and various Christian movements in and with and through arts, theology, prayer, and practice. Uh, and number three is healing and reconciliation. One of my visions received initially was to aim for holistic healing and restoration by and through the scripture, prayer, and arts. And I've been working with social causes and different issues in the U.S. and in Korea and elsewhere. I hope to try to build bridges between generations, races, genders, denominations, languages, and cultures as a spirit-led. And for example, I was writing songs and sharing the songs at an event related to the comfort woman. If you know the history between Japan and Korea, there was this military comfort women, military sex slaves. The very painful history there, and I was involved in that. I was meeting up with one of the survivors. They're all in their 80s, 90s. We only have like handful of survivors left, and we still have that issue unresolved. And I've worked with homeless community. I have been working with North Korean refugees and resettlers in Korea and in the U.S. And I try to be a voice for underprivileged and the poor and oppressed. And so these are my official and unofficial albums and recordings, and like digital singles and the other people's recordings that I have participated in. And I'm a songwriter and singer. I do record. I do live performances. I lead worship uh, in Korea, in U.S. and elsewhere. I hold a education background in music, composition, and theology. And you see me like wearing sari in India, and that's in Germany, that's in Japan, and I do a whole lot of traveling these days. And I do a lot of planning for different conferences and forums and worship services and different movements, and I do speak and give testimonies. And these are the countries that I have been in like past 3-4 years, and this has been my route only this year. And this is one of my prayer requests, if you could remember me in your prayers. But the Lord has been really, really faithful in terms of funding, in terms of providing me with His strength and wisdom and all the things that I needed for this ministry. And before I go on to Jaewoo and Joy, um, I also am praying to open up a like house for artists, like have an artist house where young artists can just come and relax and create and talk and worship and eat and sleep and do all that. I don't know where it's gonna be. It could be in Korea, it could be in the U.S., it could be elsewhere, but God only knows. But I'm praying for that, and as I'm also trying to transition into a season of ministry, having a home base in Korea starting in January. So that's one of my prayer requests again. And another department, ministry department that's being represented tonight is Jae-woo Kim and Joy Kim, and this is the PowerPoint they sent me to share with you. They represent the Proskuneo Ministries based in Atlanta, and they are actually leading the Arts and Mission Korea right now, and they're global worship consultants and art ministry specialists, and they have two beautiful kids. They're multicultural worship leaders, world arts consultants, ACT Korea mobilizers, speaker, songwriter, mentor, and catalysts. And they are very hospitable. They're known like worldwide for their hospitality. So they just open up their home for anybody, but especially for young artists and the potential, the future arts missionaries who are trying to really, find out and discover their identity and calling. And the recent project that they were involved in was the community songwriting project in Clarkston, Georgia. And it reads, "What can happen in the most diverse square mile in America? Half of the population in Clarkston are refugees." So they run the Proskuneo ministry in Georgia. They're deeply involved in. They do a lot of concerts, camps, and a lot of different events with the refugees there. And do we have? This is one of the video clips. So that's a short clip from the camp and the songwriting, the workshop that Joy um, was a part of, and she was one of the leaders. And next, another department that we have here is Sujin Park and Suyeoncho. They have J Family Ministry, is a ministry assisting Korean churches by mentoring young leaders for creative ministry and cross-cultural missions. And this is their family, and the ministry verse they told me was John 13:34 through 35. And they are just amazing. They do all kinds of ministry, from arts ministry and like songwriting and recording, counseling, broadcasting, like radio hosting and speaking, leading worship, mentoring, and everything. And Suyan, she released 2 of her own albums with her own songs, and she actually drew all the illustrations herself for the album, and then she makes her own PowerPoint images and of the screens when she gives concerts. And they also hold a relationship seminar for multicultural church leaders. And then this is when they had their relationship seminar for the local pastors in Brazil. Because Jibam and Suyeon used to be missionaries for a long time in Brazil, and for young couples as well. They host a lot of guests too, and they do a lot of calligraphy, art production, fundraising. This is all done by Suyeon. She writes and makes them, and painting, postcards, calligraphy, exhibition. Yeah, this is all done by Suyeon. Yeah, calendar. Yeah, and they do this all the time. Yeah, just invite people over and just count the number of shoes if you can. And they do the open house ministry, mentoring young leaders. And the one thing that Pastor Jibam emphasizes a lot is the table fellowship. He emphasizes our worship ministry has to move from the stage to table. And the last but not least is Deborah Yun-Hee Kim from Korea. She lives in Korea, and she is the director of Arts and Mission Korea, helping and working with Jae-woo and Joy. Oops. Yeah, and provides training, and she shares models and stories of arts mission around the world, connects resources and opportunities with young artists. And she hosts arts and mission seminars. She runs and plans and just facilitates everything. And she creates arts mission resources, plans short-term art mission trips. And this is the Arts and Mission Korea seminar that happens regularly. And she makes regular visits to African countries and the countries in the Middle East for arts camp. Tanzania, Egypt. She made like several trips, and these are her prayer requests. If you could just read along quickly. Yeah, and just as I wrap up this presentation, I just wanted to share one more thing, because one day I had an encounter with this book through my professor at seminary, and it's called The Other Classical Musics. It kind of helped me get out of my box, small box, because whenever I hear the word classical music, I picture violin, orchestra, and winds and brass, the Western instruments. But just by looking at this title, I was just kind of shocked and inspired that that's just one of the classical musics in the world. Yeah, and if this is the back of the book, I didn't read this. I haven't read the book yet, but I was taught that buying is reading. So it introduces the music of all the different traditions and all the different eras and countries. And we just learned that our Western classical music is just one of them. And I see all the ministry and gifts and callings, and even this, great, big, huge networks that are being represented. And I was just so encouraged, and I was so much inspired by all the stories and all the ministry that you brought to the table. And I really was thanking God for His creativity and wisdom, and that His might, that He was able to bring all of us together to remind us once again of the unity and oneness we have in Christ. But I just also wanted to remind us once again that like no matter, like we are just witnessing this big community and network of artists and ministries, but I think this is only a small part yet again. Um, that just there are people out there that we are not aware of. They're like, it's like discovering a different continent. Yes, so we think this is, we have this glimpse of the sense of being connected to so many other people and so many other ministries, but we just cannot know all of them. And I just wanted to just remind ourselves that God is just so much bigger and greater than we can ever imagine. And if I have time, as I close, I just wanted to share this one song of my own composition, and this song actually incorporates some of the Korean traditional instruments, and I'll be actually singing in Korean with subtitle, the caption on the screen. So it's very rough translation, but I hope you can get the gist of it. And yeah, I'll be sharing this one song before I step down. Because the Korean word for wind and wish is same word, one word. 우리나라 우리 땅 우리 하늘 우리 산